season World Masters of Snooker, and the chance to play the world champion Luca Brissell for the first prize of £250,000. It's Ronnie O'Sullivan, 7 times world champion, against Judd Trump, who won 3 ranking titles back-to-back this season. 4 in all for him, 4 titles for O'Sullivan in this, their 29th meeting. Sit back and enjoy it. And as has been discussed already, Dominic, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and I know you were commentating on the match last night, was near flawless. 3 centuries and 80-odd break, reducing John Higgins to 4 points in fouls. That was it.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? One of the greatest players of all time in John Higgins wasn't able to pot a single ball in that match. Ronnie O'Sullivan was in sparkling form. Can he reproduce anything like that here in his match with Judd Trump? Difficult to pick a winner, very different styles of play. Judd more creative. His cue ball control isn't as tight as Ronnie O'Sullivan's, but it doesn't seem to cause him too many problems.
Trump's victory over Shaun Murphy was a very different match. In fact, for a lot of it, as he conceded, he was outplayed. Murphy hit him with 2 centuries at the start, and only actually missed 1 ball in live play in the first 6 frames, but proved to be expensive. It was a chance to win the match. Trump made the most of the reprieve to force the decider, and of course won the decider, hence this 29th showdown between the pair. O'Sullivan does lead 15-13. He's won the last 4, including, of course, his record equaling 7th world title, and more recently the World Grand Prix final this season. And that was some match, because Trump was very much in control early on. He led 4-0. He led 6-3 in the final session before O'Sullivan was able to win 7 of the last 8 frames. But there is huge respect between this pair. They know that both are capable of coming away with a win. Both can be unplayable if they hit top form. So a lot at stake, a big prize on offer. £50,000 riding on this match alone. Guaranteed £125,000 for the winner. And that is a lovely opening red from Judd Trump. So Trump strikes first.
That really was a beautiful pot to get in with. And in goes the black as well. Now, is he on the red? Just about. He'd like to be on the red just to the left of the pink.
8.
But if he isn't, he can certainly see enough of the one to the left of that. But I think he's okay. Wasn't too much wrong with Ronnie's safety. And this is why I love watching Judd Trump, because he's very, very creative. A lot of players, if they were going to attempt that long red that he just knocked in, would have played it to the left corner, but Judd played it to the right corner. It's a much harder pot, but less danger involved, less risk. He could pay
14.
dividends here. He's right in amongst them. Judd, one of these players who likes to get the pack of reds open as early as possible.
He put together 22 consecutive
15.
victories during that period in which he won 3 ranking titles back-to-back. The English Open, the Wuhan Open, the Northern Ireland Open. Only the 5th player to achieve 3 in a row. 7 finals in all for Trump this season. He's become a serial winner once again. By his stellar standards, last season was modest. Certainly in the ranking events, he did win a
20.
second Masters, but didn't win a ranking title. As O'Sullivan for once watches on. He was doing all the potting last night. But not for long. That's a surprise error from Trump. A routine red goes astray.
Do you know, I was just thinking of a black off the spot that Judd missed, trying to roll it in, because Judd addresses the cue ball right of centre, and as he delivers the cue through to the cue ball in the act of striking it, it sort of recenters itself, but it doesn't always come bang in line again, and it can cause the odd mistake. Now, if Ronnie O'Sullivan can punish that error,
8.
it'll give Judd Trump something to think about. Oh, but Ronnie himself guilty of an easy error.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 8.
Nervy start.
And that's not surprising, even for two great players like this, the standout players of the campaign. There's a lot at stake, not least financially, but also bragging rights with the World Championship around the corner. Clearly both of these players are going to be heavily fancied when we get to the Crucible in a month's time. He's very good at those shots, Judd Trump. The thin snicks from the baulk area, gets a very high percentage. There was a period where he was actually the dominant player in this rivalry. Of course, he beat O'Sullivan in 3 consecutive Northern Ireland Open finals. He beat him handsomely in the 2019 Masters final as well, which was the precursor to his World Championship success a few months later, when he played absolutely incredible snooker in the final to demolish John Higgins over 2 days. But the tables have turned of late, with O'Sullivan coming out on top
11.
in those last 4 meetings. So Trump will be looking to address that recent reversal at the hands of his opponent today.
Left himself a nice angle to work with here on the black. He could play a delicate screw back into the 2 reds together. Although saying that, he's just a fraction straight on the black here. Had to force it in. But of course there are reds in open play, so there was no need to go into anything or
90.
play any cannons that could go wrong.
20.
He certainly has a good angle here. Could play a delicate cannon into the 2 reds together, furthest right. But I'm a little surprised to see him leave the cue ball so low on this red, so he can't get onto the black
27.
now. We'll have to go up for the blue or even the bulk colours. There's quite an angle on this red.
28.
So now he's going to have to do a lot of work here for the cue ball to come back down amongst the reds. Easy to misjudge.
$32. $33.
Crowd acknowledging another good recovery shot, but once again not ideal on the blue. 45 the lead, but still 67 on.
And this is all because he didn't play very well for the red a few shots earlier.
38.
from it, he had to go all the way up for the brown and then caught the bump of the middle pocket. And this is what happens. You tend to find yourself further and further away from good position. And in the end,
Just
so often happens,
30.
you break down. And although he hasn't left the red over the corner pocket, it's easy for Ronnie to plant this other one onto it. It could be a costly mistake.
O'Sullivan was unplayable last night, as John Higgins acknowledged afterwards. He had a chuckle to himself when he was reminded that he hadn't actually potted a single ball during the 4 frames. But O'Sullivan has already missed a couple of chances in this opening frame this afternoon against Trump.
I'm sure Ronnie will be very disappointed with a couple of the mistakes that he's made in this opening frame.
It's their 29th meeting. It's actually only the 4th time they've played over this best-of-7 frame format. Trump's won 2 of the 3. Of course, the final later this evening here in Riyadh will be over the best-of-9 frames, the first of 5 to collect that £250,000 first prize. Luca Bracella awaiting the winner, fresh from his excellent 4-2 win over Mark Allen earlier. A match that featured 3 centuries. 13 in all now for the tournament. That's another mistake from Trump, though, catching the middle pocket jaw. Another opportunity for Ronnie O'Sullivan to hit back in this first frame. And you can feel the tension out there.
Both of these players are just so wary of one another's abilities. I think it's leading to some of these errors. Just not quite so easy to settle down, but what a chance again this is for Ronnie O'Sullivan. And the red he wants to get onto here, if he can, is the one closest to the black spot. Because once he can remove that, he can then get the black back onto its spot. And with the reds placed as they are, surely he has to be favourite to overturn this deficit.
Six. Seven.
O'Sullivan is second on the one-year ranking list behind Trump, which is pretty remarkable when you consider that he's withdrawn from 6 ranking events,
14.
as well as the Champion of Champions, which he won last season, beating Trump in the final. But when he has shown up, he's been devastating. Of course, he won a record-breaking 8th UK and Masters title, a 5th Shanghai Masters, and the World Grand Prix against his opponent
15.
this evening. And what an opportunity. 35 behind, but that's almost irrelevant given the position of the balls. It would be a surprise if O'Sullivan doesn't pinch this opening frame from here.
21. 22.
Doesn't need to play for the black
29.
from this red, but he may well do so. Just means that the
30.
key ball has a bit further to travel on its way up to the yellow, but this type of clearance, Ronnie O'Sullivan really ought to be like shelling peas.
$37.
He was hard at work on the practice table ahead of this match. And that's something, of course, that is overlooked, the amount of work that goes into being this brilliant. Yes, both of these players are possessed of an extraordinary natural ability, but it's allied to
39.
tremendous dedication on the practice table, hours and hours. You know, Sullivan's case for several decades to get
42.
this good when the pressure's on the match table on a big occasion like this. Brand new tournament, huge prize on offer.
$46. 51.
So both pink and black required. Judd Trump has had a couple of opportunities, couldn't quite get a tight rein on the cue ball and missed, and then the safety error in
57.
catching the jaw with the left centre pocket gave O'Sullivan this chance.
64.
And he's taken it with a break of 64. So a dramatic start to an eagerly awaited encounter between the two players of the season by far. And it's Ronnie O'Sullivan who strikes first to lead 1-0. World champion Luca
Thank you.
Brissell,
The second
conqueror
frame.
earlier of Mark
Judd
Allen
Trump.
by 4 frames to 2. So Judd Trump breaking off in frame 2. Bidding for his first win over O'Sullivan in 5 attempts. The overall head-to-head favouring the 7 times world champion 15-13, a rivalry that dates back to 2008, and one of the most compelling in the sport, particularly given how well they've both played this season, head and shoulders above the rest of the field in terms of what they've achieved, with 4 big titles each. And another big one on the line today. Nicely stroked in. It's lost the cue ball a little. This table has been
Sorry.
like lightning all
It's
week.
not ball on,
I think he's just double checking with Jan Verhaas that the golden ball is not playable until a maximum is made, and it becomes live. So it'll now disappear off the table.
Three.
Or it should do.
Yeah, I think Ronnie was down to play his shot, so Jan didn't have the chance to remove it. He's just done so. That looks, at first glance, have worked out beautifully for Ronnie. The pink available into the right centre. He spread the reds fantastically well. Wonderful chance of 2-0. I was just thinking the way that Ronnie won that last frame was beneficial in a way, because Judd has had a few mistakes to ponder while he sat in his chair. Sometimes if you break off, you leave a long red on for your opponent and make 100 break, it doesn't really affect you because you've done nothing wrong, really. But Judd made a few mistakes in that last frame and he's lost it, so he's got something to think about.
It really was a sensational performance, even by O'Sullivan's standards, against one of his greatest rivals, John Higgins, last night. 489 points to 4.
10.
3 centuries and an 82 to finish. John Higgins restricted to 4 penalty points. That was it from the great man. Such was O'Sullivan's dominance.
11.
Now in his 49th year, but absolutely no signs that his game
16.
is in any way on the decline. On the contrary.
Seventeen. 24.
He may just be an inch short of pace there, Ronnie, to be able to pot this red. He can do so if he applies a little bit of left-hand side to the cue ball to spin the red towards the pocket, but it just makes the shot more complicated and therefore
Put it on
risky.
silent, please. Thank you.
Brand new location, familiar problem. The odd mobile phone, but
25.
that certainly could have finished better for O'Sullivan. Not ideal by any means on his colour. Green to try and retrieve the situation. Bit of a stretch though.
Well, a dream result for Ronnie. Cannoning this red fall ball. It's left him right in amongst them now. Multiple reds available into that left corner. Well, he's absolutely perfect just to run through for the black or even stun for the pink. Choices abound.
29.
Yes, it's already looking concerning from Judd Trump's viewpoint. O'Sullivan fresh from his 64 clearance. Take the opening frame. Oh, but hang on. Just when it looked like plain sailing, it's gone awry.
36.
Looking at that overhead, I think he just cannoned the wrong red. He's done what all players should do in a situation like that and just take their medicine, keep the pressure on the opponent. So easy to take something on you shouldn't in a situation like that through sheer frustration.
Big let-off nonetheless for Trump, who would have been expecting a 2-0 reversal there. In the event, just 36 points the deficit.
Ronnie having a look to see if he can make a 3-ball plant here, but Judd has just cannoned the yellow in front of the brown, so a good target to get the cue ball in behind.
Well over 3 years, in fact, since Trump got the better of O'Sullivan. It was an emphatic one, the semi-finals of the World Grand Prix back in December of 2020. Can he turn the tables in the second frame, come from behind to level this match?
It was Judd's cue ball control that let him down badly in that first frame, and it's let him down badly here as well. It's difficult enough to get the better of Ronnie O'Sullivan when he's playing well, and when you do get opportunities, you need to score from them. And Judd has just let himself down a little here, positionally, in these first 2 frames. He could still cut this red into the right centre, but it's very missable.
Judd Trump, 3.
It's not quite happening for Trump at the moment. He's trying to impose himself on this match, but one or two errors, lost position early. Just now when he had a chance for a counter. This wasn't easy, clearly, but just trying to settle into his game here. It's not quite happened thus far. But O'Sullivan overcutting the red. Another little shake of the head from him. There's a lot riding on this. Both players are feeling it out there for sure. And again, an unwanted kiss for Trump.
Yes, again, he won't be pleased with that positional shot, Judd Trump. If he wants to continue the break, perhaps the blue is the ball to be taking on. Brown looks a little straight to me. In fact, if anything, he may be the wrong side of it.
Judd Trump 1. Foul. And a miss. Judd Trump 4. Yeah. Yeah. Judd. Foul. And a miss. Judd Trump 4.
Going back again, Trump surveying his options, but not fancying any of them, so O'Sullivan will have another go.
Judd.
If he hits it direct, he'll be okay. It's reached. Perfect outcome. And O'Sullivan's point of view. In fact, he gave a few penalty points away, won't inconvenience him in the slightest. I think Judd knew there'd be a chance of leaving a possible red on, but he banked on playing the cue ball around the angles well enough to hide it with the yellow, and that's exactly what he's done. So it's Ronnie O'Sullivan now who's faced with the task of hiding that possible red.
Was a good safety from Trump, which has forced the error. So, can he knock in this long red, get himself going in frame 2? Had to weather quite a storm early on against Sean Murphy, who was irresistible in the first couple of frames with back-to-back centuries. And even after Trump had levelled at 2-all, Murphy pulled away again, only for Trump to eventually get over the line in the decider. But
7.
once again, that's gone wrong early. Positionally, no joy. Just a safety. It's been quite a frustrating start to this semi-final for Trump so far.
Yes, yet another positional mistake from Judd when he's had what looked to be a really good opportunity to score heavily. It just happens that way sometimes. You play what you think is an easy enough cannon and it just goes wrong.
Yes, it happened to O'Sullivan early in this frame when he was looking good in amongst them. Had to play safe. Things have become a bit scrappier since then.
There is a chance of a cuttable red here for Judd into this left corner. Just have to be careful with the path of the cue ball, though.
Judd Trump, 1.
He's managed to get the snooker.
If Ronnie can somehow rest upon the top red of those three in a line along the left-hand side cushion, it should be perfectly safe. Instead, though, tried to swing the cue ball around the angles. And although he certainly hasn't played it particularly well, it may well be good enough.
Well, he's muscled that red in. Thought about staying above ground.
Well, I was a little surprised to see that drop, given the pace that Judd played it at, but early signs that this table's playing slightly on the heavy side. Judd can normally screw the cue ball back with ease. But he had to put a lot of effort into that. And the cue ball didn't travel too far. Now, this is what amazes you with Judd Trump. Sometimes he makes the most elementary positional errors, and then he can come up with something that's quite out of the top drawer like that.
Sizable crowd enjoyed that one. Couldn't have placed the cue ball any better. And Trump just looking for a spark early in this match. It's not quite gone to plan for a frame and a half, but here's a chance to change that after that superb positional shot.
Well, he does have an
15.
angle here on the red nearest the pink to bring the awkward red into play, which is something that he will need. Decided against it, but there will be another opportunity very shortly, I'm sure, to bring that tricky red into play. Well, I'm sorry, that's just a poor positional shot. He may be able to pot this red, but he may have to play with his right-hand side just to make the potting angle. And therefore he couldn't cannon the red into play.
23.
No way of getting on the red, so having to settle for a
Judd,
safety.
20.
So just 12 points between them, 35 left. Not the sort of frame you necessarily associate with an O'Sullivan-Trump match, but a vital one. We know what a great front runner O'Sullivan is. Trump hasn't really settled in this match yet. And given it's only a brief one, 7 frames, 2-0 deficit to O'Sullivan would take some retrieving. So even early in this match, these are important moments.
Executed the shot very well there, Judd, but a little fortunate that the red has gone in behind the brown, perhaps. Well, Ronnie's cut the red in. Now, did he attempt the cut?
In the end, that brown provided the perfect marker, didn't it? Hitting the red absolutely spot on to make the pot. But he's missed the blue. That is a surprise. So it's been a nervy old frame, this. And a reprieve for Trump. Just overcutting the blue. Not a frame that's going to live long in the memory for quality, but it could be a very important one for Judd Trump if he can win it.
Okay.
Get himself involved in this match early in the piece in his bid to topple O'Sullivan for the first time in their last 5 meetings.
Judd, Trump.
As things stand, Trump needs green and brown.
Well, Ronnie could snick this green in, but it's a very thin one. The only reason I suggested it because the safety shot was tough. And if that cue ball finishes close to the side cushion, it may be okay, but the green's on for Judd. As you can see, it's a very straight pot, but he needs to draw the cue ball back for the brown. And that could be asking just a little too much, perhaps.
Cue power to burn, as we know, but there's a lot of pressure out there. So just the safety. Bit of a hit and hope from O'Sullivan, and it's not worked out. Trump's got the angle on the green here to get up for frame ball Brown. So, a scrappy frame, edgy and nervy, super tense here in Riyadh in our second semi-final. But Trump just needs this Brown to level the match. He'll be relieved.
7.
It was all about getting a frame on the board early. And he's done that now.
12.
Super tense stuff in our second Riyadh season World of Masters snooker semi-final. But Judd Trump has mopped up the colours to level the match. He puffs out his cheeks, I'm not surprised. He's level with O'Sullivan at 1 frame all. For whoever lifts the trophy, £250,000 no less. And that's without even mentioning the now fabled golden ball. And the possible £395,000 for a 167, a maximum. Followed by the extra ball. John Higgins, the only player who's come close to achieving it with the 120 he made on the first day before losing position on the final yellow. But for these two players, the primary goal is a place in the title match against Brussels. 1 apiece. And I wonder now, having got that second frame on the board, which was by no means a certainty for long periods, whether Judd Trump will now relax into his work. That was an excellent opening red. No joy, though, on the Brown, so another mistake allows O'Sullivan in early.
Judd Trump 1.
Yeah, this Brown sneaked through all of those reds, and at one stage it looks as though it's heading for that centre pocket. Incredible gap that Brown found. There was a lot more pressure on the Brown because he knew that he'd be leaving O'Sullivan an opportunity amongst the balls had it not gone in. But both these players now have a little bit to think about with a few mistakes that they've made in these opening 2 frames.
One.
Nicely played shot. He didn't land in A1 position on the
8.
black, so nice retrieving cannon required.
9. $16. 17. 22. $23.
Well, you can screw right through these reds here, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Plays that shot so well, controls it so well, but on this occasion, it may not have worked out for him. Possibility of a red into the yellow pocket, perhaps, but that's about all.
An excellent retrieving pot from O'Sullivan, back in pole position.
$38. Don't move, please. Thank you.
Bit of movement in the audience. Yavahas just reminding the spectators to remain still and the players down on the shot.
39.
As he held the cue ball well enough for this red into the left corner. Looking at that picture, I'd say
45.
he hasn't. Trying to swerve it in. Has he made the angle? Oh, it fell at the last. I can't believe it. I didn't think that was in, Phil.
I don't think Ronnie did either. Looked as though it had caught too much of the jaw, but drop it did, much to the displeasure of Judd Trump. He must have thought for a second he was back in there.
$53.
As it is, O'Sullivan moving with inside of a 2-1 lead in pretty quick time.
54.
Trump had the initial chance. Excellent opening red, but missed the brown to the left centre. Is it going to be his final meaningful shot of this frame?
$61.
Certainly looking that way.
$62.
This blue and one more red to retake the lead. Could have gone wrong a couple of times this break, but O'Sullivan was up to the
67.
task of retrieving the situation.
68.
And now just a question of how many he's going to make. Will it be his 4th century in his second match?
$75.
45 already this season. Closing in on 1,250 now for his career.
$83.
Judd Trump has already given this frame up, of course, thinking about the 4th.
84.
These could have been his had that brown gone in, but it wasn't to be.
$91. $92. $99.
For century number 12 for 8.
100. 103.
And I think we're seeing here in Ronnie
105.
O'Sullivan, and you'll see it in Judd Trump as well as with all the other top players, that they put these disappointments of a poor performance in a previous frame right behind them. They're very good at focusing on the present,
108.
confining bad mistakes to history.
Yes, O'Sullivan would have been irked to have missed the blue at the
112.
back end of that scrappy second frame, which let Trump back in on his way to levelling the match, but this is some response.
170.
He can't eclipse the highest break of the week, which is Ding Junhui's 138. And he doesn't even bother with the black. 123 will do. A slab of brilliance from the 7 times champion of the world, and food for thought for Judd Trump, who's behind again. 2 frames to 1. O'Sullivan leads. Better of O'Sullivan and book his place in the final later, and a meeting with world champion Luca Brissell. Frame 4 of a possible 7. Of course, the final is over the best of 9, the first to 5 to pick up that first prize of £250,000. 50,000 on the line in this match alone. The winner guaranteed 125. O'Sullivan misses the thin edge of the red, going for his 5th consecutive victory over Trump.
A miss. Judd Trump.
In this 29th meeting, he leads the overall head-to-head 15 to 13.
Well, that was a very good effort as an extremely difficult cutback, but as you can see there from our camera shot, that this red is available to Ronnie O'Sullivan. Just needs to find one good positional shot, because I have to say I fancy him to knock this red in. Oh, but badly overcut. It's just a case, isn't it, of one good frame, one bad frame. Both of these players.
You made the point earlier that there's huge mutual respect. They're both very wary of the other's threat. This time O'Sullivan does find the edge, although he doesn't look thrilled with the shot he played. That's because he hit it thinner than he wanted to, hence the cue ball coming back up the table.
Excellent length with the cue ball. Now, there are 2 reds just above the black there that may be close to being a plant. You can just see them in shot there. They are set to the near jaw, though. Judd spotted a plant. He had. And it's gone in. Oh, what a bonus that was, to have that plant to go for. Screwed the cue ball back for an element of safety. Could have finished a little nicer on a colour.
And this time the brown does go in.
Five.
So Trump with a chance to build an early lead in the frame he needs to level this match again, make it a best of 3.
6.
He was playing catch-up for most of his previous match with Sean Murphy.
This will be a very tricky break to make, though, because the black is completely tied up. The pink is out of commission a little. Blue off its spot. They do very well here to score more than 15 or 20 points, really.
10.
That said, if anyone can carve out something substantial from a position like this, it's Trump. So good at working the cue ball up and down the table.
11. $14. $15. Green ball. Judd Trump, 15.
Mistake from O'Sullivan in catching that red. But it is, as Don mentioned, an awkward table at the moment with the high value colours not in ideal spots. Shake of the head again from O'Sullivan. We've seen a bit of that this afternoon. Double from Trump. Well executed.
Judd Trump.
This really is an awkward table for both of these players. Unless you can get the black into play or the pink into play, it's difficult to see any mistakes being made that will prove costly. Quite a few shots that Ronnie could play here, but if he could rest upon the red close to the left centre, it should be safe. Although saying that, the red above the black I think would pot into the right corner, so maybe he'd have to be very careful not to leave that on. So he's trying to leave the cue ball here on the top cushion, I feel. No, in actual fact he's trying to come off 2 cushions and glance a red, and he's having to really manufacture an angle here that isn't there.
Let's have a look at that, Ronnie. Yep. Thank you.
Big misjudgment there from O'Sullivan, ploughing into the reds. It's been a bit in and out so far from both players, really. We saw the excellence of O'Sullivan with the century in the previous frame, but that's kind of been the exception so far in this semi-final.
One.
Both players grappling to find their best form for a sustained spell. Trump comfortably winning the safety battle, but 2-1 behind. And that is not great either, goodness.
Oh, I can scarcely believe some of these positional errors from Judd this afternoon.
8.
Sure, he's exasperated by some of them himself. Now he can still pot this red, as you can see, to the right corner, but he was hoping for something much, much easier than this. And now that black is on the pink spot, a mistake could be very costly.
It just feels as though the occasion is affecting this match at the moment. It's a unique event, a brand new event, huge money event. Both players extremely motivated to play for the title later against Luca Brissell, and neither at the moment quite on the money. But another chance for O'Sullivan to get right back in this frame. He's looked the better of the two, for sure. .64 clearance in the opening frame to pinch that one. The 1-2-3 just now to move back in front. Might have won the second as well. Mr. Blue.
That's okay. 5.
Definitely signs that this table's playing a little heavier today. But one thing
6.
that hasn't changed throughout the event is the speed of the cushions. They're playing very quickly. And of course, the actual table bed itself is lightning fast.
Yeah. Another shot not executed as intended. Quite unusual to see this pair in particular struggling as they are at the moment. We've seen precious little of that this season from either. They've monopolised the campaign, really. 4 titles apiece.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 8.
The errors keep on coming. It's Trump again, and he's let O'Sullivan in for another chance to evaporate the deficit.
One.
I just wonder if Ronnie will try to speed his play up a little bit to just get some momentum in his play.
Eight.
Big arse to win the frame from this opportunity with multiple reds on cushion rails, but at least he could establish a little bit of a lead.
$50. 60. 23. 24.
The crowd know their stuff here. They know that was delicately played. Have to be hit bang on to drop as cleanly as that one did. And if O'Sullivan could win this
30.
frame, there's a lot to do, as Don mentioned, from here. To clinch it at this visit, he really would have a firm
32.
grip on the match, with Trump at the moment not really playing well enough to make the final. That can change very quickly, but he's being outplayed at the moment. Sullivan not quite able to promote the red though, so
39.
15-point lead with 43 remaining.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 39.
Very cleverly crafted safety shot from Ronnie O'Sullivan, leaving both the reds in a line using the brown and blue as snookering balls. Oh, hang on. Oh, goodness me.
That would have been some pot, wouldn't it? Goodness. He wasn't that far away. As it is, another chance for O'Sullivan. And this time he has developed the last red.
1.
Further concern for Judd Trump. No. Undercut.
Ronnie
Had
O'Sullivan.
that gone in, every chance O'Sullivan would have been leading 3-1.
Well, it'd be a very impressive clearance from Judd Trump if he were to win this frame from here with the green on the cushion, the black on the cushion. He's 16 points behind. A full stretch here, it would seem.
One.
Could pop the pink and play for the yellow. I don't think for a moment he'll take the green on, but what he could do, he could bring the green into play here and snooker Ronnie O'Sullivan on the yellow. That wouldn't be a bad choice, because even if he pots the pink, it's very unlikely he'll clear off and win the frame here with that green where it is.
Judd Trump, 1.
All I can say is Ronnie O'Sullivan will be delighted that Judd has left that green in an awkward spot there when he had a chance to bring it right into play, because all Ronnie has to do is hit the yellow and he'll still be in the box seat in this fourth frame.
Foul. A miss.
And O'Sullivan
Judd
has
Trump.
now inadvertently promoted the aforementioned green. It's going back
Can
though,
we bring that up, please? Thank you.
so he didn't promote it for long.
No. Ronnie was lucky that he didn't leave a pot on the yellow that Judd was interested in. We'll be mindful there, Ronnie O'Sullivan, of what just happened. He won't want to bring that green into play again.
Thank you.
I wonder if Ronnie can play this off one cushion instead of two. Playing it off two again. He's missed it again, and he's going to cannon the green again.
A miss.
But now this changes
Judd
everything
Trump.
because Judd Trump has a free ball,
Free.
and Jan Verhaas has only just noticed that. Jan Verhaas, of course, a referee. And now that could change the course of the match.
It feels as though Trump has been hanging on a bit in this match so far, but if he could steal this one, what a boost. Get it back to level pegging.
Two. Four.
He's not going to need the black, so full concentration required here for Trump to equalise. Oh, and he's missed the green. His struggles continue.
Judd Trump 4.
Undercut by a margin.
Hang on. The green's in. Oh, goodness me. What are we going to see next?
Well, this Riyadh season, World Masters of Snooker has not been short on drama or twists and turns. All sorts have been happening in most of the frames we've watched. It's been compelling entertainment. Even the scrappy frames, you can't take your eyes off, and this one is still live.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 3.
16 the lead for O'Sullivan. That was frame ball.
Yeah, look where the cue ball's finished. Judd would have attempted this brown, I'm sure, had he not been so severely hampered. So just the safety shot. Ronnie O'Sullivan with that 6 points lead. It's not quite enough to mean that Judd Trump will need to pot the black, as at the moment he doesn't need to worry about the black. Neither player does.
Yeah, the brown wasn't literal frame ball, but given the position of blue and pink, in effect it was for O'Sullivan. But this frame goes on, it would be a huge result for Trump to get out of this at 2 each, because he's struggled throughout, really.
These two players have played each other so many times. Of course, they have a massive amount of respect for one another, but I just think, Phil, it's the fact that they're playing in a new event and it means the world to them. Not literally, of course, but to win an event like this that is a little bit of a one-off. Hang on. Oh, my goodness. He's double kissed the brown. and flukes it, and he's on the blue. I can't believe what we're seeing here.
Yeah, more crazy snooker. I'm sure you're right. The occasion is affecting both of them. Trump in particular, but now 2 balls away from what would be a vital steal for him. And yet, he's missed the blue. Just shows, even for the very best in the business, the greatest player of all time, a modern great in Judd Trump, the pressure affects everyone. Where's this cue ball? It's okay.
When so many mistakes are being made like this, it creates so much pressure, not just on yourself, but on your opponent as well, who's almost feeling your nerves. Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ronnie knock this blue in. The pink's waiting for him, if he can make the pot.
Right in the middle. Cue ball needs to slow up though.
5.
Well, this is it is cuttable. It's a thin one, but it's a bit awkward stretching across the table. He's going to need some assistance with the rest and the extension. But this is all he needs for 3-1 and a very commanding position in this second semi-final.
I think he's okay here. This pink is easily cuttable. I think the biggest risk is the cue ball going in off.
And in it goes. Well, it was a very scrappy frame, but it was certainly eventful. All sorts going on there. But in the end, O'Sullivan's got over the line on the final pink, and 3-1 feels about right. Judd Trump is really struggling in this match at the moment, and he's going to have to find a couple of extra gears to get back into it. He trails Ronnie O'Sullivan 3-1. But he's been the better of the two, and that's why he's leading 3-1 after that extraordinary 4th frame where it was all happening. In the end, O'Sullivan getting over the line on the pink. So Trump with a lot to do now. He's clearly going to have to play a whole lot better than he's done so far today if he's to play Luca Brissell in the final this evening, which is from 8 o'clock UK time. Brissell having beaten Mark Allen earlier by 4 frames to 2, a match which was of very high quality, 3 centuries in that one. Brissell getting the better of Mark Allen with a frame to spare.
Looks to be a good safety from Ronnie, forcing Judd to play something down this right-hand side of the table. And I don't think this is going to reach, is it? Not quite.
Gonna miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan.
No real harm done though, just the 4 points given away.
Can Judd Trump summon up some inspiration? We know he's well capable of it. Time and time again during his successful spells of title winning, we've seen him win ugly on occasion, come through matches from losing positions. It's another story to do it against O'Sullivan. With so much riding on this match financially. And the 7 times world champion is back in.
5.
Has an angle here on the blue to go into the pack of reds if he wishes. Caught them well. And I think he'll be happy with the end result.
10. 11.
Just didn't strike through the cue ball there, Ronnie. He's left himself a little hampered now. And this won't be easy because he's got to get into the cue ball here, potentially, to get position on his next red. Oh, he's just about okay, it would seem. Just dropping the black in instead.
$18. 19.
Judd Trump's highest break in this match so far, just 38. O'Sullivan, of course, made the sparkling 1-2-3 for 2-1, having stolen the opening frame with a 64 clearance.
27.
Now building a very handy lead in the frame he needs for yet another final.
In an odd sort of way, I think Ronnie may be happy with this because he has a potable red to the left centre. I think he was aware that playing that shot, which I think he had to play to go into the reds, there's every likelihood he'd finish on nothing.
$35.
Just awkwardly positioned here on the brown. Judd Trump will have a good view of this, sitting in his chair. How can Ronnie pull out a great positional shot here? Because he's going to need one. Just glance the yellow. And he has the option of
39.
a couple of potable reds to both left and right hand corner pockets, but both of them have risk attached.
Yeah, it's a great pot, clean as a whistle. It's an area of O'Sullivan's game which I think is as good as it's ever been, actually. His long potting, his consistency from distance, outstanding. I guess you could say that about his game in general. There really is no sign at all of deterioration, but positionally that's not great. So 49 in front, very useful lead.
Just saw a glimpse there, didn't we, of the two potable reds, the green pocket.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 45.
Break ends at 45, 49 the advantage. Always just a little wide, this one. Well, that's a very good shot in the circumstances from Trump, who Really has struggled to get anything going so far in this match. There's still time for him, of course. He's only 2 behind. Looking for a really substantial break to restore a bit of confidence and give O'Sullivan something to think about. Has he overcut the black? He has. That's been the story really for Trump. Just too many missed pots today.
Very well cued from Ronnie O'Sullivan, so this is the chance that he's been looking for to apply the final killing thrust. One good positional shot should do it.
Eight. Nine.
Yes, the writing very much on the wall now. Judd Trump will be disappointed, not just with the likely result, but the way he's played. He's not produced anything like the form that he needed to get the better of O'Sullivan, who's played within himself in the main. Still managed a century, his 4th of the tournament, but he's done more than enough to come through with something to spare for his 5th consecutive win over Judd Trump. And can now
22.
Look forward to a showdown with the world champion. What a match that promises to be later. Brissell, who of course got the better of O'Sullivan in that magnificent comeback at the Crucible last year, from 10-6 behind to reel off 7 in a row.
28. 29.
And you get the sense that there's plenty more in the tank for O'Sullivan. He's been shaking his head a fair bit in this match. He's not thrilled with his level today, but it's been more than enough to get the better of Judd Trump.
36.
And he'll be back this evening for a finale to savour here in Riyadh. Ronnie O'Sullivan scores his 5th consecutive win over Judd Trump. An out-of-sorts Trump today. O'Sullivan doing enough to come through, including a 4th century of the